Hello and welcome to the Back to the Basics show with Wilson Boneme, the public speaking and presentation series. Are you a professional, an entrepreneur, or a corporate executive who desires to become a better speaker and presenter? This series is designed specially for you. I'm going to be sharing with you basic strategies, tools, and techniques that can help you to become a more confident, dynamic, and engaging speaker and presenter. And yes, you're welcome. Enjoy. Today we are going to talk about the 3 E's for improving your public speaking and presentation skills. What are the 3 E's? The 3 E's are education, exposure, and experience. The higher your score on these 3 E's, the higher your level of self-confidence and the lower your level of stage fright. Let's start with the first E, education. When you begin to acquire information about public speaking and presentation, when you begin to learn how to use the skills, how to use the strategies, the techniques that you are reading about, when you acquire tools on public speaking and learn how to use those tools when you are presenting or when you are delivering a speech, the day you would find yourself in front of an audience and that you have to speak, you are most likely going to perform far better than someone who has never acquired any form of education on public speaking. So, even though you don't yet have opportunities to speak in a public setting, even though you've not started receiving invitations to speak, make sure that you are constantly acquiring information about public speaking so that the day you have an opportunity to speak, it won't feel like the first time. It won't feel like your first time. Okay, so let's move to the second E, which is exposure. Now, under exposure, there are 2 things I want you to really pay attention to. The first one is, when we talk about exposure, there are some of us that are so afraid of speaking in public because we feel that we have a certain disability that disqualifies us, or we think that there's some level of achievement or success that we have not attained that disqualifies us. Or some of us think maybe our background or where we're from is a factor that disqualifies us. What exposure does is it helps you to see people, it helps you to come in contact with people who could have the same excuses that you have, or that have the same form of disability that you have, that are doing the thing that you fear to do, which is public speaking. So when you see such people, when you come across such people, it makes you say these words: if they can do it, I can also do it. So exposure is you putting yourself in a place where you can see other people perform, where you can see other people speak in public, where you can see other people doing this thing that you fear. And guess what would happen? If you expose yourself to enough people, you would find out that there are people who have the same excuses that you have. There are people who have the same form of disability that you have, who are out there on stage doing the best that they can, delivering speeches and presentations, and even traveling the world doing so. So by exposing yourself to such people, you become a little bit more confident in yourself. It helps to boost your self-belief. Now, the second thing you should realize is that you should know is that exposure also helps you to see some of the things that you have read about being applied in real life. So when you watch other people, other speakers present, you would find them using some of the techniques and strategies and tools that you have read about, and you can say things like, oh, this is what the speaker just used, or this is a way of engaging with the audience, or this is a way to use body language, or this is a way to answer questions. By exposing yourself to other speakers, you get to see how some of the things you have read about are applied. And what that does for you is that the day you would find yourself in front of an audience to speak, because you have seen someone use the strategies, use the techniques, it's easy for you to replicate what you saw. Now, luckily for me, I was a training facility manager for a couple of years, and because of that exposure, I came in contact with several speakers, different kinds of speakers. There were several leaders, in some of the popular churches that even used my facility. Leaders from churches like Daystar Christian Center, leaders from churches like Covenant Christian Center, leaders from churches like HICC, Habitat International Christian Center, and I had mentees of Coach Larry Lushola. I had mentees of Sam Bafemi. I had a lot of there were so many great speakers that had used my facility. So just by being there, I could watch them and listen to them present. Now, you may not have that opportunity, so what should you do? You have to go out. Even before I became a training facility manager, I would go to conferences, I would go to business meetings. I even at a point was involved in the network marketing business where we had different speakers who would train and teach us how to sell, how to present. So I have always put myself in a place where I would see people and watch people present. So you have to do the same, because the more you expose yourself to such speakers, when you have opportunities, you can remember clearly how certain tools were used. Now let's move to the next E, which is the last E, and that is experience. One of the things that experience helps you to do, that no amount of reading will help you do, that no amount of watching other people will help you achieve, is to feel the feeling, if you know what I mean. When you hear about stage fright, it sounds very abstract. When people tell you that they blank out on stage or they just go blank, you're like, how is that possible? But the day you step on stage to speak, you'll be amazed at how quickly you seem to forget all that you have been preparing for, all that you had read about. You're like, I knew this happened, I had it just last night. Yes, that is what experience does for you. Getting your hands dirty, putting yourself in front of the audience and performing, delivering the speech. The more experience you acquire, the more times you put yourself in front of the audience, the more experience you acquire and the higher your level of confidence. Because when it comes to using concepts like positive affirmation, when it comes to using concepts like visualization, it's a lot easier when you have experienced it and you are feeding on something that you have experienced in the past. You're saying things like, I have done it before, I can do it again. I have done it before, I can do it again. And you have that clear picture, that clear image in your mind of someone who has achieved success before. Even if your first outing was a colossal failure, because you have been on stage, you can leverage feedback analysis. Okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? How can I improve on my last performance? These are things that you can talk about when you have actually stepped on stage to perform. Okay, so back to what this is all about. The higher your score on these three E's, the higher your level of self-confidence and the lower your level of stage fright. So if you notice that you've been doing only reading and acquiring information, it's time for you to put yourself in a place where you can watch other people present. If you've been doing just the education and exposure, it's time for you to take practical steps to start presenting. And as we go on in this series, I will share with you the different ways you can start putting yourself in a place where you can start to present for real and acquire real life experience. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you. Hello, this is Wilson Bonime saying thanks for watching. I'd really love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to send them in. Take care. Bye-bye.